Hey everyone, welcome back to my personal channel, Social's Awkward. My name is David Vidal, and this is how you might slowly be destroying your T-Rex and what you can do to avoid it. Let's go. In the early days, Campagna used several different Kawasaki engines, including the ZX-12R and the ZX-14, before supply chain issues forced them into a relationship with BMW, resulting in the very capable 16S. Newer T-Rexes, however, like the 1400RR, are now equipped with Kawasaki ZX-14R engine. In any case, what I'm about to share with you applies to your platform no matter which one you ride. All of these motors are designed for one specific purpose that we all know and love, and that is to make power. In most states, you no longer need a motorcycle endorsement to ride a T-Rex, which has come with some notable drawbacks. While it opened the T-Rex to an entirely new segment of enthusiasts, it also brought in many owners who are new to this kind of platform and engine type. However, even if you hail from a motorcycle community like I do, I have found that this issue is nearly as prevalent among motorcycle riders, especially novice riders. As you no doubt picked up from the title of this video, I'm talking about engine lugging and what you can do to avoid it. Much like breaking in a new engine, if a T-Rex has only a few thousand miles on it, but the owner's been lugging the engine its whole life, you're likely in for some long-term problems. And from what I've seen, or more accurately, from what I can hear, when I listen to how other T-Rexes are being ridden, there's a lot of lugging going on, which is exactly why you should purchase your T-Rex from someone like Duran Burnside at T-Rex site in Atlanta. If there is lugging going on, it means either you're a novice rider, you don't understand the platform, or you've picked up some really bad riding habits that are inadvertently destroying your T-Rex. While redlining the engine is equally bad, lugging the engine is much more common and more difficult to avoid. Engine lugging happens when an engine operates at a very low RPM while under a heavy load, such as accelerating from a stop in a high gear or driving uphill in too high of a gear. This places significant strain on the engine and can lead to various issues. As you can imagine, lugging the engine increases stress on the engine components. It forces the engine to work harder than it should, which puts extra strain on critical parts like bearings, pistons, and connecting rods. Lugging the engine also reduces fuel efficiency. At lower RPMs, the engine uses more fuel to produce the same amount of power. Here's one you probably didn't know. Lugging increases engine temperature. Riders typically think that higher RPMs means a harder working motor and a hotter engine, but that is only true above the power band. Conversely, riding too far below the power band actually increases workload and reduces cooling efficiency, causing the engine to overheat more quickly due to something called pre-ignition or detonation. Let me explain. In some cases, lugging can cause the fuel-air mixture to ignite prematurely, which is pre-ignition or detonation, which can be very damaging to the engine. At the very least, lugging will increase wear and tear on your machine. Over time, lugging can lead to premature wear on various engine components, likely shortening the engine's lifespan. But let not your heart be troubled. I've got some really good news. Engine lugging is easy to avoid, but it does take some practice and no small amount of intentionality. The most cogent information you need is to understand what the power band is, where it is, and how to use it. I'll link to a video in the description that explains a little bit more about the power band, but in hindsight, I'll probably create another video on that topic. If you have never spent time on a motorcycle, then you will likely think by the sound of the engine that the T-Rex is working too hard, that your RPMs are too high, which will result in upshifting prematurely. This is especially true for riders who cruise through main streets, attend bike or car shows, or hop from place to place. Have you ever wondered why the tachometer is the same size as the speedometer? This isn't a design cue. Campagna wasn't trying to keep things symmetrical. The tach is the same size because the information you get from it is equally as important. In fact, when it comes to good riding practices, the tach is way more important than the speedo. Here's an example of low-level lugging. Now, obviously, I didn't want to damage my T-Rex for this video, but it'll give you an idea. Here, I'm in 4th gear, traveling at 45 miles per hour, and under 4,000 RPMs. Now you can hear me ramp up the RPMs to the appropriate level. Here's another example and why it's so important that you learn how to drive by ear. Here I'm still in 4th gear, traveling at 75 miles per hour, and my RPMs are at 6,000. For the novice rider, in general, it is likely that you need to ride at a higher RPM than you probably think. If you know where your power band is, then you know that your cruising RPM should be just below it. You always want to rest in the pocket or cruise in the pocket. On your tachometer, the pocket is where your RPMs are comfortably below the power band. This isn't just best for your engine, it's also best for you. Safe riders always cruise in the pocket. That way, if you need to goose out of a situation or you need a sudden burst, the power is on demand. That is, you don't have to go looking for it or waste what could be precious time by downshifting. Which brings me to my next point. If you don't fully understand the power band, at least make sure that you downshift when necessary. For example, I love the torque that this motor produces, and the torque is never more obvious than on an uphill ascent. It's my favorite place to power burst. If you cruise in the pocket, you can accelerate uphill on demand, looking like a pro and leaving everyone else in your rear view. For my more novice friends, when accelerating or encountering a hill, downshift to a lower gear to keep the engine speed and the RPM within its optimal range. Another way to avoid lugging is to listen to your engine. The trouble is, if you're new to this kind of platform, you don't know what it's supposed to sound like. I'm not telling you what yours is, nor do I consider myself an expert by any means, but my pocket is 5,000 RPMs, plus or minus 500. If you're unfamiliar with this kind of platform, this will likely sound too high, resulting in an unnecessary upshift, which causes lugging. Pay attention to the engine's sound and feel. If it's struggling or vibrating excessively, then downshift. If it starts to chug or even threaten to stall, you need to downshift. Campagna tried to help us out by including this ECO indicator, but I have found that it's not super accurate, and staring at your instrument cluster is a great way to get in trouble. So learn what it should sound like and ride by ear. Here's an example that you can listen to that demonstrates when you might ignore the downshift. Here, I'm in 3rd gear, going 40 miles per hour at 4,000 RPM. This is the right time to downshift to 2nd gear, even though it feels fine. Now listen to this upshift and pay close attention to how 3rd gear sounds. Notice that I refrain from jumping to 4th. I settle in 3rd at 45 miles per hour and 5,000 RPM. Perfect. Lower gears make more torque at lower speeds, while higher gears provide more speed at higher RPMs. Put simply, if your gear is high and your speed is low, the engine struggles. That struggle is called lugging. Just be mindful of your riding and do your best to avoid those very low RPMs, especially when accelerating or under heavy load. If you've made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. Again, I'm not trying to come across like some kind of expert. These are just some of the things I've picked up along the way. So make sure you comment below with your anti-lugging secrets. We all want to hear them. In the meantime, be nice and ride safely. I'll see you out there.